Good afternoon, good evening, this is John Paul Ryan. I'm coming to you from Tokyo, Japan. Today I'm going to have John St. Baptiste on my channel, and we're going to have kind of this debate video. He sent me a video about what he thinks is good about the Disney Star Wars movies, so here we go. Let's get into that right now.
Thank you, sir, for having me on. Hello, friends, both old and new. I'm John St. Baptiste, and I am going to defend the newer content in the Star Wars film universe. Now, I do have to throw down some caveats. I do think that the new film trilogy is a dumbed-down version of Legacy, which would have made a much better film series, but realistically, it would have been 9 films, and it would have taken 20 years to make. Or it could have been a teleshow, and that also would have probably taken about 9 years to make. So, that being said, let me get to my defense. First thing I have to say, Rogue One, absolutely brilliant. For me, personally, as a Star Wars fan who watched A New Hope in the womb, for me, the 3 top films are Empire Strikes Back, Revenge of the Sith, and Rogue One. I think Rogue One was one of the best films. I'm going to get burned for this, but I am going to say that I think Rogue One, as a storytelling perspective and from a literary perspective, is far better than New Hope. And yes, go ahead and flame me for that. But I mean it, and I will stand behind it. Also, I think that it was just a wonderful, amazing film, and that was part of the post-Disney acquisition Star Wars franchise. I am also going to say that the new trilogy, while it has its problems, and I do agree with most of the problems that people throw out there, there are some I disagree with. I don't think Rey's a Mary Sue. I think a Mary Sue would just figure out what's going on right away, as opposed to the way Rey is like bumbling through things, and she's like, oh, hey, I gotta pick this up, which mirrors Luke's development in the first 2 films. Now, none of us have seen the 3rd film in this trilogy, but I do think that she mirrors Luke's development much better than Anakin did in the first 2 films that Lucas himself put out in the prequel trilogy. Also, I think Finn's character is absolutely amazing. I love the concept of someone who is part of a regime that he disagrees with and stands up to that regime and goes on and does what he thinks is right despite that. I like the hopelessness at the very end of The Last Jedi. I like that hopelessness and that there's that one glimmer of hope. I think that is so well done. Yes, there are things I can bitch about along with all of you about the newer films, but those are things that I have to point out and I have to say are very well done. There are characters you might hate. There are events you might hate. There are inconsistencies. But if you go back and look at the original films, there are plenty of inconsistencies. And I just have to say that I think there are a few things that are being done right with the new group of people who are working on these films. That being said, please just look at it with an open mind. And remember, we're all fans here. And we all love this, and that's why we get so passionate about it. For me personally, as someone with literary bent more than anything, I have to accept and call out the things that I think are very well done. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. Sir, thank you so much for having me on here, and I'm going to leave it with you. Thank you.
Alright, so I gotta thank John for sending me that clip. As far as Rogue One, we pretty much agree, and I think pretty much across the board, most fans like it. I know there's some people who didn't like it, but I think it's generally received well by Star Wars fans. I'm not going to go back and forth on that. We agree. As far as it being better than A New Hope as far as a storyline, I don't think so. New Hope had a very complete story of Luke from this farm boy to hero at the very end, and we just get this really fantastic, very full classic story, but it had a good story, so yeah, we agree. Move on. I think it's impossible for Rey to mirror any character development, let alone Luke Skywalker, because I don't think Rey has development. She starts off on Jakku as a nobody, ends up on Crate, and she's just pretty much the same person except she could use the Force now. As far as Finn, I do think Finn is a good character in concept, and I think Finn, like I think most people would agree, had a lot of potential. He starts as a stormtrooper, he gets involved in Resistance, and it would have been real cool if he turned out to be the main Jedi, or a Jedi. But I don't think it's fantastic as it is now. But let's just say I'll agree that Finn is a good character, at least in concept. As far as hopelessness at the end of The Last Jedi, I didn't feel it. I just felt like they kind of got away, and I didn't really feel like Kylo was that threatening, mainly because it was just him, alone, coming out there, and it was just like these machines, you know, on the horizon. I just didn't feel like that tension, like it was gonna end, and like, oh my god. So I could see, like, from a bird's eye view, how you could think that about the story, but I didn't get that feeling. That's an opinion, I suppose. Now, here's the thing. John does say in so many words, it's okay to hate on the new characters. And that's what I got, and that's cool. And the thing is, I don't like when people compare the old trilogy and the old movies to say it's okay what happened in the Disney movies. Here's what the thing is. Two wrongs don't make a right. So you can't say, well, because Jar Jar was in the first one and those sucked, that it's okay to have Rose and she sucks. Two wrongs don't equal a right. Learn your lesson. Don't put crappy characters in Star Wars anymore. No one wants to see it. John also mentions that the people who are making these movies are doing some great things. And now I have to say, there's two sides to this. One side is how they're treating the fans, and the other side is the creative side. On the creative side, I think they are doing some things that have a lot of potential. Having Darth Vader's grandson, I think is a great move. Having Finn, as we went through, being an ex-stormtrooper is a great move. Having a female Jedi is a great move. So creatively, they're on the right track as far as potential. They just dropped the ball, and the execution is absolutely horrible. Then we also have the public relations disaster, where Rian Johnson says they shouldn't have any more white dude directors. I'll never let stuff like that go. That's a racist comment. And Kathleen Kennedy has not one time, as far as I know, defended the movies on a creative end. So as far as the public relations, they're doing piss poor, baby. Now, as far as Rey, here's the thing. My channel was built to prove that Rey was a Mary Sue and the Disney Star Wars are not good. The thing about being a Mary Sue, and this is a very long thing to get into, and I'm not getting into it right now, but I'll say the main thing, that everyone gets wrong. Even people who think she's a Mary Sue get wrong. A Mary Sue is mostly an original character made by someone who isn't the creator, put into a series that's already established to be better and more exciting than the characters that already exist. That's the main guideline for a Mary Sue. The two smaller issues are that they're perfect and they do everything right, and that everyone loves them. Not perfect, but, you know, like 90% perfect, okay? And a lot of people just roll over the fact that Rey was put into an existing franchise, one of the biggest sci-fi franchises ever, and she happens to be better than everyone and loved by everyone. That's the thing about Mary Sue. She was put into Star Trek as a new character, not an existing character, and she did everything better than Spock, McCoy, and Kirk. That's the main point to remember. Now, aside from the fact that Rey is loved by everyone and she does pretty much everything right, she is better than everyone at pretty much everything. Okay? Poe gets mind probed by Kylo Ren. Then we see Rey resist. Finn gets beat by Kylo Ren. Then we see Rey beat Kylo. Han offers Rey a job because obviously she knows about as much about the Falcon as he does. So my point is that Rey was put in this franchise to make the other characters look less than she is. That's the main thing that makes her Mary Sue. It's not an opinion. It's not something you can debate and think about and say maybe she is, maybe she isn't. She is a Mary Sue due to that. And also, I want to mention, I think this was an excellent video. I think John did a great job. He has a music channel. I'm going to link that below. So, you know, for a guy who's not, I know he's a fan, but for someone who doesn't make Star Wars videos regularly, I think he did a great job. And he does say something important, is that because we love Star Wars, that's why we're all so concerned and have such strong opinions on what's going on. So you guys let me know what you think about John's video in the comments, about what I said. Community's growing little by little, and I will see you next time.